Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's the greatest week in motor racing. The 1 week where all of the classics bring themselves into play. 2 of the 3 that the Triple Crown gives goes through. Of course, there is a beautiful race somewhere up in the north of the United States, but we find ourselves today at our Monegasque replacement. This is Long Beach. We are here in California. It is round 7 of the iRacing Grand Prix Tour, and welcome to the Long Beach Street Circuit. What a track to bring itself through as full replacement. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone watching around the world for this, the iRacing Grand Prix Tour, one of the, if not the, greatest iRacing series out there at the moment. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me for the ride today is Stuart Brown. And Stuart, we take a look at what makes this Long Beach Street Circuit really special to go through, and it's just the sheer uniqueness that you get around this circuit. We'll take a dive over to the left-hand side of the United States, over to America and to California, and you will see where we are here today. We are just south of Los Angeles, over at Long Beach. We're not a million miles from Inglewood, from Anaheim, but this Long Beach circuit, it is pretty much the American Monaco.
Yeah, absolutely. Bumps, grind, walls, everything that we need that would amplify a Monaco if it was in the United States. You've got 3.167 kilometers of street circuit adapted to the iRacing platform. And there is going to be plenty of challenges for our drivers tonight, particularly if they get offline. As the track starts to dirty up as well, grip could be an issue. We're going to have good, warm track temperatures, and it's going to be a great race. 2 DRS zones tonight, 4 ice detection zone between 7 and 8 for the run down Seaside Way, and of course the DRS zone 2 down Bridgestone Corner through Shoreline Drive. So 2 zones for the drivers to try and activate tonight as well. It's going to be tough tonight.
It is, and I think that's the biggest understatement we've got. Just a shade under 2 miles long, and a track which brings everybody into a state of panic. This is how the championship standings look after 6 rounds. Jordan Gronkowski on top, but not by much, just 15 points, the margin between himself and Anthony Catt, who is in 2nd position. Marcel Fassbender finds himself in 3rd, and then you've got the 2, Tobias Saal and Kent Nielsen, 4th and 5th. Darren Parker then finds himself 6th with James Dempster 7th. Paul O'Regan is in 8th. Jumping up to 9th is Yestin Chiapalone, and then Connor Pooler rounds out the top 10 overall in the championship. But let's have some fun here, Stuart. What if these live broadcasts were the championship overall and not the 4 races drivers have available to them? And let's put some F1 scoring in on the board. It's close.
Yeah, absolutely it is. We've got very, very close, in fact, equal points for 2nd and 3rd there between Anthony Catt and Emil Bernsdorf. So it's open for anyone at the moment. We've got plenty of time left in the season, of course, for the drivers to make their challenge. Got a couple out tonight as well in Bernier and Bailiff, who had strong races last week on equal points as well. So there's plenty to play here for every driver.
Yeah, Aurelien Baillif in 7th, but he won't be here today in this race. But there will be many drivers who will be looking for points, and points, of course, a top 10 in our fantasy championship that goes through as drivers are there. There is one driver out there on a lap, but it's worth talking about tyre life because the tyres last a while. Soft medium should be the aim of the game here today. It's 50 laps we are expecting out of everyone. It's an 83 lap race, so I think medium tyre, then very quickly on to the soft because of the tyre life, which lasts, and effectively to the real world, it's C2, C3, C4 in terms of how tyre life goes. An easy one-stop strategy. You must change your compound of tyres, but it is also a very slow pit lane here, Stuart, so very easy to drop the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 64 kilometre per hour limit down pit lane for the drivers. Early on, any damage, of course, is going to impact on that strategy heavily. So the drivers will be looking to get to that first gate that they can then potentially switch to, if they have to, the medium compound tyre to run to the end if they're not starting on that compound. So they'll be wanting to make sure they get through a nice, clean early run at the start of the race so they don't have to end up stopping and losing that 35 or so second transit time through pit lane.
Well, qualifying is over and done with. We'll go to the grid. It is Jarl Tyne from BS Competition up on pole position. We'll have Marcel Fassbender for company on the front row. Row 2 will have the championship leader, Jordan Gronkowski, with Anthony Catt, his main rival, just behind him in 4th position. Mitchell Welker will start from 5th with James Dempster in 6th position. Row 4, housing Timothy Vaughan, the Kiwi, along with Yestin Chiapalone, as home race as a home race can be for him. Then you've got Walter Lux starting in 9th position. Paula Reagan will round out the top 10 of your field. Kent Nielsen, with it all to do, goes from 11th position. Jason Green, 12th, already 2.6 and 2.7 seconds adrift in qualifying. Brandon Powell and Tobias Saal house themselves on row 7 with Jacob Reed way down the order, along with Darren Parker in 16th position. The last 2 drivers, they're not representative of a lap time from Adam Webb. Hugo Kenya will not be on the grid. He did not get a time in qualifying. He will have to start then as far back as 18th position, but it is going to be a sketchy run today down towards the Toyota turn 2 on the circuit. On our map, it was turn 1, but an incredible run it will be. It's all about who can get aggressive first, because that run to turn 1 could be the decider in terms of this race. And every driver, as you can see, who looks on back will be thinking about how do they position themselves off of the good start. Slight advantage to those on the inside. They will have a shorter run on their drive forward. Those on the outside will lose maybe about a third of a car length on their run to Toyota. They'll have to be very cautious about that and the way they go forward. It is 83 laps here today. It's a long one. You're going to be counting those laps off a mile a minute or 2 miles a minute as it is here. Green flag in the air. Fassbender doesn't go off at the start. He was so slow to react. He got caught out. Cat in the wall trying to get around him, and that could be huge trouble for him in terms of his early championship form. It is tired from Gronkowski, the front 2. Mitch Welker is up into 3rd position. Walter Lux makes great progress as well. Everybody has made it through the opening chicane, but now, or the opening corner, but now into the aquarium section and the fountain they go, and everyone on tiptoes as they enter Queen's Way.
Yeah, absolutely. A good start there, with the exception, of course, of our front row sitter. Tobias Saal gets his way out of pit lane as well to get started for his race. Looks like everyone's got through cleanly here, and they're making their way.
And championship leader into the wall. Jordan Gronkowski then over at the left, or the right corner that comes in through. Now he's going to have to be very careful. Very nearly tags the wall again there. Coming through turn 9. He's got the black and orange mechanical flag. He's got damage. He'll have to come down into the pits, get repairs. And the championship leader is in trouble on lap 1 and out on lap 1 here at Long Beach.
Gronkowski into pit lane there. So Webb as well. Looked like he had a slowdown. Tobias Saal up 2 positions as well already early on, straight out of pit lane. So a lot of drivers just getting into trouble early on the cold tyres, getting caught out, clipping walls. That's always going to be a challenge, and they're going to have to make that up with their pit strategy, and they're going to adjust to that for the balance of the race.
Walter Lux as well in trouble on the opening lap, so he was down the order. This is 2nd and 3rd, and that's Welker in the wall then, going through over at the Queen's section of the track, and Welker, it's so difficult, that right-hander about turn 5, because it's off camber every stage of the way. He's got away with it, made that side contact, and has kept the car pointed in a straight line, but we'll have Marcel Fassbender all over him. Let's take a look at what happened to Gronk then, going through on the brakes, down the hill, left-hand bend, taking a little wide line and trying to take as much of the circuit as possible. A little shallow into the corner, takes too much speed, wham-bam, into the tyres, and that's his day done.
Yeah, just didn't use enough of the entry there as well and got really caught up. So let's have a look as well at what happened to Walter Lux here. Just on a replay, he fell down the order very, very quickly. He's just gone straight ahead. He's had to try and turn that around. Difficult to do here. They're very narrow. Remember, this track not built for these new size Formula One cars as well. So very, very difficult for him to turn that around. That cost him dearly.
They are long, they are big, they are bulky, as Jarl Tayen sets the fastest lap then of the race. Some great movers up through the field. Kent Nielsen, 6 places gained, along with Jacob Reed up 6 places off of the start. They are the big movers at this stage, and about 4th place on back. This is what you're going to get, stereotypical trains, and very nearly in the wall there goes Kent Nielsen, which would open up the chance for Timothy Vaughan. We are on lap 3, which means that the DRS is active. Worth noting as well, 3 drivers then starting the race on the soft compound tyre. Those are Welker, Nielsen, and Chiapalone. Everyone else has started on the mediums.
And how well is that playing out for Teen as well? Up the front, got clear air, got a good gap already, and on the hard compound tyre. So, sorry, on the medium compound tyre. So it's going to play out well for him. And that clean air giving him the advantage that Welker and Fassbender haven't had, that they've had to try and adapt to one another on the cold tyres. So playing out well for Teen with that good start.
Is playing out well on board then with Timothy Vaughan running through now the aquarium corner and over towards Queens. This right here, off camber, up and over, back on for the Shoreline Drive, and making that run over to the TK turn. Left-hander move in the background then, trying to get sorted out. That was Jacob Reed having a search against Anthony Catt, who's going backwards. And there's the lap down Hugo Kenya, who has been in the pit. So Kenya will have a lot of work to do to get back into this race. But look at Mitchell Welker, and behind him, Marcel Fassbender trying to open up around what is the reservation in the middle of the track as they go through that final hairpin to get some drive. And he just has none off of the exit compared to that soft tyre.
Very early to talk about championship implications, but let's do it quickly. Jordan Gronkowski out of the race, our championship leader. Anthony Catt still running in P8. And we do have Marcel Fassbender up in P3, so they're going to benefit from Gronkowski's misfortune early on in this race.
As late can be, Kent Nielsen through on James Dempster. That the move for 4th place, making the soft tyre work early then in this one. Lap 5, he makes the pass and jumps up then into 4th. He will now have his eyes set on Marcel Fassbender, who is about 3 or 4 seconds down the road. Let's take another look at this. This is fantastic in terms of overtaking towards turn 1. Defensive line taken, thought he had it covered. Nope, you waited a little bit too early to think that was committed.
Interesting there. Did we see no DRS activated there either, and just able to pull him in and get the move done. Great driving.
And sometimes you'll see drivers go for a slightly different setup. Most drivers should be on the high downforce setup here today, just because this track isn't necessarily the best for top speed. On board with Jacob Reed then, chasing down Anthony Catt, who needs to have a good day here today. Had that big issue off the start with Marcel Fassbender. A couple sparks off the wall, heading through the fountain. Now over through around the aquarium here. There are 2 right-handers that immediately follow Queens, the next right, and then on that charge back to the TK turn. This is where you just have to be patient in a race like this, and why strategy is so important to winning a race like this one here around this beautiful Long Beach track.
Make our way down Seaside Way now, heading towards Firestone Turn. So this part of the track can get really, really difficult as well. It's quite a quick it's quite a quick left complex, and then they head into the hairpin, which is extraordinarily slow, 60, 70 kilometers an hour in these Formula One cars. Difficult to get them turned in as well. We spoke very briefly about how long and wide these cars are. It also plays out on the track.
Oh,
as you
trouble.
can see, impact.
And that's trouble going through the hairpin in and around Tobias Saal as everybody jumps up through. So that looked like Darren Parker and Paul O'Regan finding themselves in a bit of trouble. O'Regan taking a wide line. And I think we need to get a replay on this because I don't think Darren Parker was fully convinced that he was going through the corner, that he was going to make it back with the race on. 5th, 6th, 7th, Dempster, Chiapolo, Vaughan.
Here's the replay now. As we come back down through that hairpin, down on the inside there. How does that happen? Oh, yeah. It's just had to pull it up. It's so difficult to get the car turned when you're narrow on the exit there. And he's just clipped across the front there. Saw a nose cone drop off. Not sure if that actually stuck or not, but if it has, that will be... It did take. So another early stop outside the pit window as well. So that's not good news.
Yeah, we're going to have a little look like Marcel Fassbender on the medium tyre, getting a run. He's been waiting and waiting on Mitchell Welker, and there is a certain Mitchell Welker who did very, very well once upon a time for the St. Louis Rams, which are now the Los Angeles Rams. But there is Marcel Fassbender making the pass into the prime place to get it done today, which will be at the Toyota turn, and making that one happen in his Mercedes W13 E-Performance. We look back, though, at this group continues. Vaughan now sees here, or Dempster now sees, the likes of who he is racing with. Yestin Chiapolo in 6th position. Behind him, Timothy Vaughan. Behind him, Jacob Reed. Behind him, Anthony Catt. Jacob Reed, the biggest gainer in the field so far. And this is where we're sensing lap 8. This is where the race could get interesting. You'd say track conditions here today, Stuart, are absolutely ideal. 34 degrees it is in centigrade. Winds about 10, 11 kilometers an hour from the west. That's giving them an absolutely beautiful run as they go through. It's a headwind, though, as they head towards turn 1. And here comes the look then on the outside to get this done. Dempster pushing Chiapolo right up against the wall.
Yeah, and Chiapolo did well there to get that turned in and avoid contact with that wall. Absolutely, drivers remarking as well. Temperatures cooler in the race than they were in the practice session prior to the race. So they will benefit from that. Should feel a little more comfortable as we get through, particularly as the tyres start to wear.
Dempster on the radio saying, didn't quite mean to squeeze you there as much as I did. And that much quite telling as the driving continues. Do notice, though, how everybody is going to have to be patient out here. They're all trying to dive here for the Firestone turn. This is a place you can get it done, turn 9. But you talk about the long wheelbases of these machines. You compare these machines, right, to the same sort of machinery they were running 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You're adding an extra third on the car on. These used to be really light and nimble cars. Now they're really heavy because of the engine packages and the energy recovery packages that have to go into machines like this, as Chiapolo and Dempster again almost switch places.
Yeah, and it looks like Jacob Reed got the job done on Anthony Catt as well. So a change there for position, I believe, around P8 and 9. Catt, of course, trying to use the opportunity here to get on top in the championship if he can. So he'll be disappointed to lose that place.
Well, the thing is, with the overall championship, you've got 4 races or 4 time slots, but this is the one that traditionally gets the most points out of it because of the iRacing system, and you can sense there with the bit of brake dust that's there, the DRS open for everybody, and nobody can get an advantage on anybody else running into the Firestone turn then of turn number 9, out on track, sweeping through the left of 10 and over towards that final hairpin. It used to go this circuit all the way up to the junction up at the top, and they used to call that hairpin, Stuart, Le Gasame.
Yeah, absolutely. We were commenting before that this track has gone through 8 or 9 different iterations over its life since the early or mid-70s. So we're seeing another attempt around the outside here. Just not quite able to get that done again. Chaplin and Dempster, so this group continues to battle away. Plenty of other iterations of this track, some better potentially for these type of cars with the longer length of the track. But this is what we've got, and the drivers are doing well so far.
I tell you what, Chiapellone's got to get his mean racing gear on, because at the moment I think he's being a little bit too nice. He goes right over trying to get a bit of air in through on that run past Convention Center on the right, heading onto the Seaside Drive and making as much as possible here in towards that Firestone turn. But you look at that Seaside Way, it is a place where you really do need the DRS. You need to be absolutely battling it through side by side. And this is what we expect from street circuits, especially tight street circuits like this. A big train. James Dempster, I think, has pulled out his best Jarno Trulli.
Yeah, absolutely. He has just managed to get away a little bit there, but the DRS is obviously going to give Chaplone the advantage to catch that gap back up. He might be counting the time until he can get into that pit window, Chaplone, and pull out here to maybe get the advantage of an undercut. So if he can't get the job done, maybe that's a strategy he'll think about.
You think maybe this is a case of whoever pits earliest has the best advantage? Yes, they'll struggle on the tyres, but with how difficult it is to overtake around here, you may as well pit earlier, and maybe you're looking at lap 25, the right time to make a pit stop.
We did see a couple of weeks ago as well, just that undercut strategy worked out well. Yes, battling away on those cold tyres for that lap, but of course then you get the ability to catch up on warm tyres or warmer tyres to attack if you don't manage to get the undercut done, the driver on cold tyres on that lap when they get out of pit lane too. So kind of gives you two opportunities to try and make that happen out of pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see what he gets done around that sort of lap 20
Bang.
time.
In one goes. So Darren Parker, lap 13, decides, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to sit in this train. I don't want to get caught up and bogged down and frustrated. It's a very early pit stop. He's asking to go 70 laps on the soft compound tyre to get it home. And that might well work, but he is going to be nursing those tyres through the last stages of the race.
He's not going to be able to do that too much as well, because potentially being at the back of this train, he's going to come out in the middle of it as a result of the pit stop if it works out in his advantage. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but a risky strategy for mine.
It is a risky strategy, but Darren Parker out and away, and you'll see on the left-hand side, that's your race leader, Jarl Tayen, who will go through, put the lap on him as he goes through. A 6.3 second margin at the front for Jarl Tayen. Marcel Fassbender currently in second, Mitchell Welker in third. It's perfect 6-second gaps up to Kent Nielsen, who's 7 seconds back, who has he himself a 7-second margin over James Dempster, which is now a 9-second margin that he's about to lose, because Yestin Chiapellone finally has his pass. And oh boy, did it take car number 7 in his home state, mind you, a really long time to get it done.
But he finally got it done. He knew where he was going to get the move done. He just had to get that drive out of the hairpin to enable him to make the run down Shoreline Drive through Bridgestone to get that pass done and finally done. And you'll see him here. He's going to set off. Definitely had the lap pace over Dempster as well. So now he's going to make hay while the sun shines and run away. And you'll see Dempster, Vaughan and Reed now are going to have to battle away to see if they can get through onto P6. As we have a look at a replay of the pass here, perfectly executed, the best place on the track to make this pass, and he gets it done.
Easy as that. And he's also got that sorted. Tobias Saal as well. We'll take a look at this, because he made the move on Brandon Powell, 15 versus 17. This is the race for the top 10, and this is the pass into turn 1, round the outside, just outbraking his opponent and just being committed in the grip of that high downforce set, making it happen. Now in comes James Dempster to make a stop. Now I'm not surprised he's come in to make that stop. He was really struggling out there on the mediums, and he will go potentially to the soft out there to try and make it happen. Now, how much has Darren Parker been able to utilize the soft compound tyre as he's been going?
He's coming around on to Shoreline Drive now. How's that going to play Dempster on his way out of pit lane? This is what we were talking about with that crossover or undercut as Dempster's out of the pit lane now. Where's Parker on the track?
Just behind him.
Just behind him.
But into one. He's got him.
Has gone
He's got
through.
him. Just like that. You always have to be very careful coming out of the exit of the pits. It is such a late turn there, Stuart, into turn 1 to get yourself up to speed.
Yeah, and there's actually a control line there as well that if you are on the track, you cross it to try and get an advantage into turn one to use that extra width. You will get a slowdown penalty, so he's not able to use that. And that advantage of that warmer tyre, that slightly warmer tyre that Darren Parker's going to enjoy now, if I can get my words out, is that he's going to now pull away from Dempster, you would feel.
Anthony Catt realizes what's happening. He's going to pit for a set of the soft compound tyres. There's your race leader, Jarl Teyen. His lead only 5.7. He's starting to hit the lap traffic here. Walter Lux just in front of him. Catt then out of the box. There's Marcel Fassbender in second position, giving chase and doing a very good job. And there's Mitchell Welker, who's starting to fall backwards a bit, in third on the soft compound tyre. Catt, by the way, has just left the pits. He'll be out in 16th position. 10.5 seconds in the box. That'll be for a front wing change.
Yeah, absolutely. A longer stop there, so that's to his disadvantage, but need to get the repair done. Otherwise, he would pay for that for the remainder of the stint. Just to comment as well, Jacob Reed up 9 places so far, our fastest or highest mover into P6. Yet to pit, of course, but Tobias Saal as well started in pit lane in P8 as it sits at the moment after that pass we just saw.
Now, people often say, why is a track with no overtaking on racing calendars these days, Stuart? It's the sort of track that you look at and go, well, you can't make a pass. What makes it interesting? The fact that it is such a challenge for the driver, I think, would be the best response, because you don't get a chance to breathe around this track.
No, absolutely not. I mean, opposed to traditional circuits with long straights, where the surface is prepared, it's nice and smooth. This track is bumpy, it's rough. If you get the line wrong, it can catch you out, and it's very easy to rotate these cars. They bottom out if you do get off that main racing line as well. So the mental challenge for the drivers as well. And when you do execute an overpass, it's so much better than on a traditional circuit where there's 4 or 5 different places to get it done. Pit strategy then enters the group as well in terms of how important that can be, and also mistakes. It amplifies how bad how a mistake can change your race, as we saw at the start of the race there with Walter Lux driving straight ahead. As we speak of it,
he has to go down the escape road just like that. Jacob Reed at Toyota. All that hard work, it will get undone by a good 10 to 12 seconds. And that's the thing around this track. You either try and make the corner and crash it, or you have to abandon ship.
Yeah, as we were speaking about it, so that's exactly why these street circuits can be so interesting to watch racing at. And just the amphitheatre that they become as well is another thing.
Take another look then on replay. So Jacob Reed with the DRS, looking to make that move, trying to find his breaking point. Gets through on the inside, but he has to go straight on because he knew that he had no chance of making the corner, and he did very well to find a reverse as well.
Funny thing is, straight after him, Adam Webb did exactly the same thing, went straight ahead into that runoff zone and cost himself some time as well.
And, well, this is the result of what Jacob Reed's got. He's now got to make a pass as Jason Green in the background dives into the pits. He'll go through on the inside. Now, slightly banked that run through Bridgestone, which is effectively a turnout on track. And there is the struggling Adam Webb in 13th position, trying to get back into this race. So, troubles there as the move was made there by Jacob Reed. He's now up into 8th place with that pass. But Adam Webb with work to do.
Yeah, he will have overheated the tyres here. You can just see, again, just gets caught out in the braking zone. I think he runs a little wide and hits that bump. You saw the car just undulate on the way into the braking zone. That unsettles it enough for him not to be able to get that pulled up and to head straight ahead into that runoff area.
I'll tell you what, Jarl Teyen is taking this easy at the moment at the front, and I wonder how much, because he just lost 0.6 of a second on that last lap to Marcel Fassbender. The gap down to 4.25 seconds out there in this race. The Norwegian has the German behind, and Marcel Fassbender's races here up at the top have been frustrating so far this season. He is in the title fight, but most of his points are coming through races which have softer or weaker strengths of field.
Yeah, we saw him unlucky a couple of weeks ago as well, just impacted by lap traffic and incidents beyond his control as Paul O'Regan heads into pit lane from P10, so he'll do his stop. But yeah, it's very much a matter of making hay while the sun shines if you can. A Fassbender in second here. Not a bad result at this point in time. He's positioned well, 10, potentially just managing the race a little bit so that he can perhaps stop 2 or 3 laps later and have fresher tyres towards the end of this one. Ooh.
Oh, he is pushing. He is really, really pushing. And I think he almost pushed too much there, Stuart.
Yeah, aggressive on the rear tyre too. That will have got a little bit of extra heat into them as well. So he's going to have to be careful using the throttle out of some of these slower corners coming up as he heads over the crest through Firestone. Just going to have to make sure he doesn't lose the back of the car here and clip the wall, altering his strategy, meaning he's going to have to come in and get some repair done. So Fassbender pushing the gap has reduced again ever so slightly, so down to 3.7 seconds now. So have a look at a replay here. Just see him light up the back of it there. Just a little wiggle.
Look, you can tell he's pushing, and he really is pushing, because that gap's now going to come down to 3.6, even with that little wiggle. He gained 0.2 of a second over that lap over Yarte. Marcel is pushing right now to put the pressure on the Norwegian at the front of this field. That much we know for certain out there in this race. Drivers will have different strategies out here today, and you had those who all pitted early. You can see last pit stop laps, all interesting at the moment. Darren Parker, leader of the drivers, who have all come down and made a stop. Everybody else, though, lap 22, you'd say you're in the wheelhouse right now if you haven't stopped here for what is the traditional pit stop window.
Yeah, I wonder if drivers will keep the flexibility, particularly if they're a little bit further down the field, just in case an incident happens and they need to go in and replace a nose cone or something like that, while the tyres are still good and they're still maintaining lap pace with the cars that they're fighting for position. They might just hold out as long as they can to make sure that if they need that stop for another reason other than tyres, they've still got it up their sleeve.
Yeah, they've still got opportunities, of course. There's still always a way to go forward with this. Marcel Fassbender, fastest lap of the race, a 1:02.262, and they will be burning fuel with every lap that they go around this circuit. They will burn roughly about 1.5 litres of fuel a lap around this track, and someone like Marcel Fassbender, you can tell, is using a lot of his energy deployment coming out of the corners. The way you tell a car is harvesting is the rain light on the back.
Interesting as well, talking about the DRS zones at this track. Around about 17 kilometers an hour difference with DRS versus without it in terms of top speed along Seaside Way, or probably more so the measurement of Bridgestone with that longer sweeping right-hander. So definitely an advantage. Probably not as big as we see at other tracks, but of course the straight not as big here at Long Beach.
And the straight definitely not as big, and I think it is quite telling in terms of how you go and make a move. You're going to have to be very, very brave and be very, very close in order to make that happen, as the top two remains an interesting prospect out there in this race. Jacob Reed, though, we go on board to the back of Tobias Lux, really trying to push right now. It is medium versus medium as they now charge forward. And is this a thought of a move there into Firestone? It was, but you just need an extra 50 meters at that section of track to get that done as they drive through what is effectively, when this racetrack isn't being run right now there, Stuart, through turn 10, a parking lot.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So also just saying here that the DRS is not active. I don't think I could see DRS active as it looks like he is. His Reed's got it down the inside easily there. What happened there?
Oh, I think Tobias Saar just lifted.
Just
it's as simple as that. Knows he's quicker, and so is maybe trying to just save a little bit at this stage, knowing that he wants to go long in this style of race compared to Jacob Reed, who's trying to burn his tyres up, get back into position, because compared to where he was, where Jacob Reed was on the back of Timothy Vaughan, Yestin Chiapalone, he's down a good 7 seconds at this point. Another look at this move. Now, here's how you set it up. This hairpin, where you need all of the steering rack, you can see right hand comes actually off the wheel. They have to modify the steering at this place just so that they can get enough rotation in the steering wheel to go around. Now, this is where you go through. 4 lights on the dash means DRS is active. Looking for the move. 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. Just getting it in. That is an inch perfect turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely missed the lights there. So the DRS just shown beautifully in effect as to how it can be used, and a good exit out of the hairpin ensures that the run down shoreline through Bridgestone to Toyota enables them to get that move done.
Yep, so moves being made up and down the order, and important moves as that. Someone who's made an important move out on circuit is Anthony Catt over the last couple of laps. He's got through on Walter Lux, which was a key overtake in his strategy of this race as he's out there on the soft tyre, because he knew that he had to get by Walter Lux, who had yet to pit out there, and now he's got James Dempster in the eye line, who is there in 12th position, and this is a key pass because both drivers have pitted.
Yeah, Webb and Dempster fighting as well. So this was that pit strategy that we looked at early on. It's worked out well for Darren Parker. He's managed to clear out in front of this pack where he probably felt he was being held up a little bit. So that's played out well for him. But for Webb, Dempster and Catt, the battle is on for P11 without the adjustment of those other stops.
Just the one retiree, and that's a front nose that is sitting not very pretty. And that might be Brandon Powell's out there on circuit. So he dives down into the pits. Someone has had a bit of a moment then, coming out on circuit, heading through towards what would be the very fast right-hander there of, I believe, from Pine Avenue over onto Seaside Way. But Powell in for a scheduled stop. It's going to be out and away again without any troubles at all. And that would be your culprit there in the background without a front wing in the pits. It's Darren Parker.
Darren Parker. So we're just talking about him and his strategy, and it's unwound a little bit for him there. He's back into pit lane for a second stop. So that's where that early stop is going to hurt these drivers. If they can't get through the remainder of the race cleanly, they're going to have to make that second stop as Timothy Vaughan jumps into pit lane from P6 as well. Got a replay on the screen here.
Darren Parker. So here he goes with the Flovis style Mercedes livery out there, pushing hard through, back unsettled, trying to put the power down slightly too early, noses the car into the wall at that section of road and writes it off. And even though he's driven it into the pits, he would have had the black and orange mechanical flag, which would have put him in trouble. In there is Vaughan, and out on the white wall hard. So that's interesting from Timothy Vaughan. Feels like he's got no affinity to the red soft compound tyre. But that's the sort of tyre where you're going to lose a lot of speed over the course of a race. I think he just wants stability. He just wants to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. An interesting one. I wasn't picking anyone to do that in this race. Oh, and on the cold, he's just lit it up. I think he's managed to keep it off the wall. Trying to do the right thing and let some faster cars by, but it hasn't played out well for him there, but he has kept it clean. He's struggling on the cold. You can see it there. That car does not want to comply. He's just having to pull it in everywhere to try and get the thing to turn. So you have to be really cautious on that hard tyre for the next lap or two until it comes up to temp.
He is going to have to be really cautious. He knows how much he's going to have to push. Let's take a look at this then on the replay. So he comes out of the pits. How close does he get to this wall? Answer is, oh, he actually gets it. He gets it not only once, but twice. Front tyre, rear tyre, and he's lucky he's still in this one.
Keeping an eye on Tobias Saal and the gap between him in P7 and P8. He still has to make his stop, even though it does say that he's already done one. That was because he started in pit lane. 42 odd second transition for him to come through. So he's actually doing all right. He's going to come out somewhere in this battle for 10th and 11th when he does get it done, as Timothy Vaughan makes his stop.
He's in again, and I think that'll be for white wall tyres are not the plan. Give me some red soft tyres to go and work with. Rear jacks, then front jacks, as he will go back onto another set of mediums. Front wing will be changed as well, and he'll be back off and going again. So likes the mediums, going to stay with the mediums. Two-stop strategy forced at that point. We'll take a look, though, going through this lovely little avenue. This is starting to gear up then behind the one lap down Jason Green. Brandon Powell is there. Yeston Chapelone, who is 5th position, needs to get by both the lap cars, and also Paul O'Regan trying to get in through. O'Regan will get a freebie on Brandon Powell, and Mitchell Welker there in trouble.
I was just trying to work out what happened to him there. He's just dropped a fair chunk of time. He's gone straight ahead there as well. He just can't get that car turned. So it's going to cost him.
I think he'll come in.
Again, yeah, he is straight into pit lane. So
God.
he's obviously had an issue there, but whether it can't be that the tyres have gone off. See if we can grab a replay of it here. We're on board. Just having a look.
I think he outbrakes himself.
Yeah, and just goes straight ahead. Yeah, he does. Oh, just manages to miss the wall and go into the runoff zone. Looks like that was on the run down to Firestone turn. So he did well there, but would have overheated the tyres. He's thinking, that's it, I've had enough of these. We'll go in and get a new set. Shouldn't have to replace a nose cone here. And
He did.
He did, yeah, he did. So that's going to cost him time as well. So he's going to come back out around about P8 or P9. He's going to get entrenched in this battle with Webb and Dempster, you would think.
Yeah, Marcel Fassbender, though, will force the hand of Jarl Tayen. Into the pits he goes, off of the yellow-walled medium compound tyres, and presumably onto the reds here, the soft. So it was a slow stop then as they go through. And once again, this will be 9 seconds as he goes and makes a stop. 10.1 with the front wing change there. So this will be another slow stop then that comes through. So Fassbender struggling there with the pit stop. Who's going to have a quick stop when it comes through? Jarl Tayen, who leads this race. His focus is very simple. Have a clean stop, have a clean race, get as much as possible going here on the brakes, through the right then at the hairpin. Will he cover off the move then into the pits? No, he will stay out and go to strategy. Lap 32 starts here at Long Beach.
Shows you how easy it is to pick up front wing damage as well. Marcel Fassbender not really having any incidents of note other than that little sort of loss of traction when he was pushing hard to try and catch up to Tam, but still needing a new nose cone on the number 2 car here to get that corrected before he headed out back onto track on those soft tyres. So easy enough to do, particularly through that hairpin as well.
Yeah, it's very easy just to brush a wing somewhere out on track. These drivers know how much they have to play with the margins out on circuit. 44 seconds now, the margin for Marcel Fassbender to close down. And if it's a clean stop by Jarl Tayen, he'll be ahead by 10 seconds by the time that he comes out of the pit. So work to be done by Marcel over the course of this race. There is Anthony Catt. He's got his eyes on James Dempster. This is now for 9th and 10th positions, and every place that Anthony Catt can find is a huge boon for him because he will chase down the gap to Jordan Gronkowski, of course, the retiree out of this race. He is out with Darren Parker, the only other driver out of the race as of current.
Yeah, the gap at the moment, 5 points between Gronkowski and Catt, so everything from here closes that margin down with Catt in P10 at the moment. So he'll be looking to make his way up through the grid as much as he can. Got a little bit of work to do here with the challenge for Dempster, and then he can make his way onto the back of Adam Webb, you would feel, challenge for that P8 spot. As we see the move here on the run down towards Toyota, gets it pulled up, gets the move done nicely there. Anthony Catt not wasting any time at all on those soft tyres as he heads down towards Aquarium Way past the fountain.
Yeah, he easily makes that move. James Dempster on the radio says, you can have it, and have it he did in terms of making that pass. So no arguments there. Yestin Chiapalone following quite nicely here with Marcel Fassbender at this point in time through the off-camber right and trying to hold on. But look how much time he loses there through the dirty air. Because they're on these high downforce setups, there is so much more wake that is going through in these machines. They are struggling to get it turned if they're there behind.
Yeah, it just takes it off the front nose, doesn't it? So particularly at these cars, they need to be driven fast to get the activation of the downforce. So when you're stuck in that aero wash behind someone and it takes it off the front of the car, particularly through the slow speed corners, can double the impact of the way that car handles. So he really lost it there, or struggled with it, and it's been to Fassbender's benefit.
It has been. Fassbender now will look to chase away. That's Kent Nielsen just in front, and he'll need to get by him pretty quickly if he wants to make this race his own. Into Toyota turn 1, and now through this section, flying into the fountain, trying to gather as much speed through the exit and go through. Into the pits comes Tobias Saal then to make his stop. He pits from 6th position, drops the lap as expected, with Jarl Tayen yet to come down in and make his pit stop. But Fassbender close again, but not going to be close enough to make the move on Kent Nielsen's. Not going to be in a position where he can fight too hard, but look how aggressive they all are through off of Pine Avenue onto Seaside Way. They all want to take as much track as they can, driving through on the brakes into Firestone.
Yeah, Fassbender's just blown away from Cipollone as well, so dropped out of DRS as well now. So he's got work to do. Tobias Sal comes back out of pit lane in P8 ahead of Anthony Catt, so he's going to join into this battle with Adam Webb as well. Marcel Fassbender here trying to get the move done on Kent Nielsen and gets it done as well. He gets that pulled up. That's
he's in the wall.
No, he doesn't.
He's in the wall. Marcel Fassbender tags the tyres then at turn 2. His car is okay by the sounds of it. No black and orange mechanical flag there, but that heart-in-mouth stuff, how much will that affect the balance, the right-hand side of the car?
Yeah, I think he got really lucky there, if at all, with the tyre connecting straight on with that tyre wall. Any further back or further forward, it could have been a much bigger issue for him. So we'll see how that impacts on his lap time. He's really putting the hammer down here to make the best of these soft tyres while they're new. Have a look at the replay here. You can just see I thought he got it pulled up. And he's hit both front and rear, so there's potential wing damage there for him as well after just having replaced that front wing in the pit stop. So see how that affects him with still well over half this race to go. He's going to struggle, I think.
Lap 36, and he's got work to do with Yartayan yet to come down in and make his pit stop in this race. There is Yestin Chiapolone doing really well on the soft tyre, and there is Yartayan on the mediums, just coming across the line now to start another lap as he goes through. Now that's Jason Green finding himself pointing in the wrong direction with no front wing to boot.
So it'll be another pit stop for him. It will be his second. Anthony Catt gets a move done on Tobias Sal as well to move up into P8. So have a look at the replay here. It's just gone straight ahead.
Oh, locked at rear. Just like that, into the wall on the right-hand side. Now that will make you very sheepish as Tobias Sal also has troubles, this time at the final corner.
Yeah, again, just so hard to get the car turned there. Sal on relatively fresh tyres as well, potentially not up to temp. You'd expect they probably are. But it's very, very hard to get these wide cars turned through that final corner. You just don't want to do it. So you've got to be in the right place. As he heads now down through Fountain. We'll have a look at a replay here.
You see, now he's had to get out of it there because I think he was at risk of turning in a little bit too early out there, Stuart, and he was going to tag the inside of the wall, which would have been a huge disaster for him.
Yeah, or potentially maybe not even sure what was going on in front of him. Maybe a little bit of a checkup as well, taking his attention away from that turn-in. So just hasn't worked out for him there, and he's had to resume from a different position.
Here we go with a little look out there on track. This is Yartayan, but here's another look at what happened then to Tobias Sal again, an onboard view this time. So he's got the DRS, he hits the brakes, he tries to go through. Just no confidence in the car slowing down, has to try and get out of it then to get himself more turn, and then he has to hit the brakes because he knows that he's going to just plow into the tyres just in front. Now, Yartayan's just dispatched there. Brandon Powell's put him 2 laps down. There's Mitchell Welker, by comparison, a lap down. So just 5 cars currently on the leading lap. And of those 5 who need to make a pit or on the leading lap, I wonder how many need to make a pit stop. I would argue it's probably 3 at this moment in time.
And let's not forget as well that Cipollone is on the soft compound tyre too. So he's going to have to switch to a medium for the balance of the race. You wouldn't expect him to go to the hard. So that may impact on him as well in just getting that initial benefit of the soft tyre that he's going to lose against those around him who still have that as an option.
Yestin Chiapolone and Kent Nielsen both needing to stop, both starting the race on the soft compound tyres. You'd think that they're in the wheelhouse here, heading towards about lap 50 out there overall, trying to get as much as they can out of the softest tyre available, trying to drive off of the exit. But this is the sort of circuit as well, with as many 90-degree corners, the styles of corners that they have around this place here, Stuart, that makes it honestly quite rear limited in terms of what you can get. Look to the outside by Yestin on home soil in home county in California. Can't find a way to get that one done.
No, just didn't get the exit right out of the hairpin through Shoreline, which just affected his run down towards Toyota to try and make that move. So he's going to have to try again. It's really important to be thinking about it, particularly even out of Firestone turn. How are you going to set the car up? How are you going to position yourself to make sure that you can get the power down on Shoreline to get that pass done under DRS? Otherwise, you're there for another lap holding on, hoping that you can get it done the next time around to set that pass up. So really is a mental game here. Again, we talk about these tracks and why are they so interesting, why are they so great for us to watch and for the drivers to drive at, and that's exactly it. So here we go again. We're having a look out of the hairpin onto Shoreline. How does he go this time? See, again, it just struggles to get the power down there. You can just see in front of him that Nielsen gets a better run out of the turn. He's going to get the benefit of the DRS here, but he may not be far enough up. Oh, as Nielsen closes the door.
He's going to squeeze him. Ken Nielsen is someone who knows the limits of what he has as a car. He gave him racing room. He said, you can go for that gap, but if you're going to go for it, you're probably going to take both of us out this race. Ken Nielsen dicing with fire as the Canadian.
And that's played right into Jacob Reed's hands. He's been rubbing them together as he's closed in now on this battle. So now Chia's going to have a look both in the virtual rearview mirror, if you could say, to keep an eye on what goes on behind him, as well as plan for Nielsen in front. So starting to get difficult for him. It may be the time to pin and go into pit lane. If he thinks he's being held up, he can play that undercut and get the job done through the pit lane instead.
Jason Green, the third retirement then in this race, on the brakes through the hairpin, trying to get something out the exit. Any takers for any takers, no takers for none, but Chiapolone will feel he's got the top speed advantage here, trying to find that move. Will go to the outside. He's going to have to be brave on the brakes. Traffic on the exit of the pits as they now drive on through turn one, just about making it through. That car in the pits was Hugo Kenya making his second stop. He just tagged the wall. His race is over.
This is absolutely great driving on the limit of traction for these vehicles. He has to decide to go around the outside as Nielsen positions the car well, and they both have enough room to get through there, and great racing from those drivers.
So now 4 retirements, great racing between Chiapolone and Nielsen. Ken Nielsen, someone who has been in this Formula scene for forever and ever, has been a stalwart of the official races, trying to get as much as possible out of them. But now maybe Yestin's looking back in his mirrors a little bit, sees Jacob Reed there, doesn't want him to get too close, too comfortable, too much part of the furniture in terms of this race. This is very much a case of these drivers, third, fourth, and fifth, who haven't pitted, thinking, what do they need to do? Against someone like Mitchell Welker will be an interesting comparison. Nielsen, last time by, a 103.5. Welker, 104.6 on his last lap. So this group, despite the fact that they're fighting, Adam Webb yet to come in and make a stop either. The car that I think they have to worry about the most will be Anthony Catt in this race. But Mitchell Welker not quick enough at this moment to really capitalize on these drivers having a battle at this stage.
I think Jacob Reed as well is probably the one positioned best here if no one decides to pull out early. If they all decide that they're going to run the gauntlet and get into pit lane at the same time, he's going to come out on the soft tyre against the two in front of him on the medium compound. He'll get up to heat, get up to temperature a little bit quicker, and should be able to make the pass if he doesn't get out of the lane quicker ahead of them. Doesn't look like there's any wing damage on these cars. It's a little difficult for us to see, so someone may need a front wing, which could play into the strategy as well. But it looks like Nielsen's just getting that better drive out of the hairpin, and Reed not quite able to get the drive that he needs to use the DRS to his advantage. So I'm not sure if anyone's going to get a move done here. They're going to have to decide if they want to make a change by jumping into pit lane, I think.
Fastest lap of the race for Marcel Fassbender that last time around, a 102.1, as he took he's taken a second out of Tayan's last lap out there, which was a 103.1 out there on circuit. So Fassbender is really trying to make that soft tyre work. He knows he's got time to chase down, and he is going to try and do as much as he can to chase it. And off the road, that might be Adam Webb, who might find himself in a bit of trouble. It is, and he's dropped 2 places because of it at Firestone.
Just commenting on that as well, that lap from Fassbender, obviously therefore no damage as a consequence of that impact with the wall impacting on his car, but also the gap between himself and Tian down to 42 seconds. pit lane transit time at the moment, we've seen the fastest time of a 40.6 from Tobias Saal. So it's starting to get borderline for 10. He's going to have to make a pit, or he's going to get himself under pressure as a result of not doing so.
There you go, straight on. I think the pit times are going to be a bit longer here today. The fact they've got to go rear tyre, front tyre, I think that's a new change maybe that we've seen over on how they need to make those pit stops. But you can see here another look at the replay. This time it is Yestin Chiapalone around the outside and forcing his way through finally against Kent Nielsen. He now finds himself up on the podium in third place, but yet to make that all-important pit stop out there here to keep himself in position overall with this race. It's an important phase overall where every driver is just trying to keep themselves going towards a finish. 39 laps to go at this moment in time. Now, who is going to be the brave soldier of these trio who's going to dive down into the pits? Nielsen thought like he was going to angle, but this is also one of the most unique pit entries out there. It is a firm flick right off from one side of the freeway to the other side as Nielsen fights back to the inside, trying to take it away, and Chiapolo goes straight on. They both go straight on. Jacob Reed, thank you very much.
Big benefactor there of the battle between Nielsen and Chiapaleone, with both running ahead, outbraking one another. I think Chia probably was just trying to avoid impact there with Nielsen running straight ahead in the braking zone. So he did well to avoid it, but Jacob Reed has run away with the chocolates in this one into P3.
Chiapalone actually did have contact. He turned at the latest point he could and found there was a Kent Nielsen in his path. So that's the troubles there, and he'll have a little bit of dramas back behind. But it shows you how quick Kent Nielsen is, how he always thinks he's got a chance to making a move. He was late as late could be, diving for that move, just couldn't pull it up, and Chiapalone nowhere to turn.
She got that turned around really quickly as well. Kent Nielsen into pit lane now. Have to repair that damage, and the lead at the front is now less than a pit stop window. As Ian comes in, he's in now.
Leader in the pits, so too is Kent Nielsen. Now this is big for Marcel Fassbender. He has absolutely got to power forward now. Tayan will have a bigger advantage on the soft compound tyre because he's been a lot later in terms of getting down in. It's a long, slow trundle down to his box. He hits it perfectly. Up on both tyres he goes, or both jacks, and off and away. This will by far and away be one of the quickest stops out there. Fassbender by comparison just coming around the hairpin now. 3.9 seconds in the stop, and Tayan will hit the green cone and go. Nielsen back out and away in 5th place. He jumps Mitchell Welker in the stop, but Marcel Fassbender up to speed, now trying to get as much as he can. He'll only see Walter Lux, James Dempster. Jarl Tayan is just a little bit too far away. 6 seconds, about as much as it takes here, Stuart, for a front wing.
I was about to say the nose cone there is the difference between the two. So Fassbender definitely closed the gap down without that between the two pit stops between himself and Jarl Tayan as well. So without that nose cone, we would be nose to tail. But that doesn't mean on this first lap, while Tayan's tyres come up to temperature, that Fassbender can't close that gap down a little further. It's down to 2.7 seconds now between the pair.
And we just noticed as well with Mitchell Welker, the way he's driving right now. Just look at his rear wing. Look at the bevel of that rear wing. It is dead straight, which means that's a medium downforce set, which is bold.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised he's not struggling to get that car to turn in. I was talking about earlier, particularly in traffic as well, where the force on that front wing, you can see the difference there in terms of the angle of that top section of the wing. When he's in traffic, the air coming off the front of that car will mean it will understeer anyway, so even worse with the low downforce, with the medium downforce set as opposed to the high that the remainder of the drivers are running.
Lap 48 here of 83. Jarl Tayan leads, but the gap is just 2 seconds between himself and Marcel Fassbender, who has just one James Dempster to uncork, and he is then in a position where he can race. Jacob Reed currently in 3rd, Yestin Chiapalone in 4th. Both still need to make their pit stops in this race. And 5th position is Kent Nielsen, who will be the big difference maker in terms of that. He's got Mitchell Welker for a bit of company behind, who will be a rocket ship on the front stretch. But outside of that is the question mark in this race for Kent, because he'll be looking behind going, please don't get inside a second. You've got DRS that makes you a light ship.
Fassbender there getting the benefit of DRS as well from Dempster getting the move done. So that helped him just close that gap ever so slightly to 10 as well. But now he's got some work to do. No one in between. Gap now just down to 1.8 seconds. Fassbender struggled for traction again out of the hairpin onto Shoreline Drive. So getting aggressive, he is pushing hard still to try and close this gap down to our leader. And of course, with the race leader pitting so much later. Oh, as we've got
Welker.
Down
Mitchell Welker, we were just talking about him there, and he finds himself turned around at a really weird place, just off the exit of Pine Avenue. He just couldn't get it turned in, and as such, had to do a flick spin.
Big U-turn there for him. Not easy to get them turned around, as we've said before. Have a look again here at the replay. Oh, he's grabbed the wall.
Wall on entry. That would have done it. Couldn't get any turn after that. And then with the car unsettled and the turning point fast approaching, Welker having to go straight on, and his race very much in the hands of everyone else. Now, this is where it continues to become a game of cat and mouse for the likes of Marcel Fassbender, because he will catch every bit of traffic in front, and that is the driver who is at this stage the main contender for the championship lead. Fassbender versus Cat at this point, with Jordan Gronkowski out of the race. These two are second and third in the championship respectively, and Marcel Fassbender, if he goes through here, puts the lap on Anthony Cat, will realise, okay, that's one trouble out of the way. Jarl Teyen will be next.
Cat will move into the lead if he can finish the race out in this position. He will take the lead of the championship away from Gronkowski, of course, was out on lap 1. But it will be Marcel Fassbender who makes the biggest move up in the leaderboard as well. He'll jump up into the top 5, so he'll be looking to close this out. He'll have one eye or one thought on that part of this race, but of course he has the other eye on Teyen, who is still losing time to him. It's now down to 1.5 seconds. You've got to think that that's lap traffic that's caused that, as Jacob Reed jumps into pit lane.
Yep, so Jacob Reed will make his stop from 3rd position overall. He will come into the pits. Of course, when we talk about that jump into the top 5, we're talking about the virtual standings or our fantasy standings. In overall standings terms, it is very, very close at the top between Fassbender, Cat, and Co. And there is Jarl Teyen. At this point, these top 2 are fighting to be the 7th different race winners in 7 different races to start off the iRacing Grand Prix Tour season.
You could not have picked that at the start of the season. If you were given the option as to who might be at this stage a multiple race winner, there is no chance that any of us would have picked that we would have 7 different race winners. Just shows you how competitive it is, and it also shows you that the mixture of tracks between the drivers is just producing great racing. It's a fantastic series.
1014 from Fassbender, but he's held up by Kent Nielsen, and he's not getting any help here. Through the avenue on Queens, now the right, back onto the Shoreline Drive. He'll finally get that move out of the way, and he gets a little bit of heat in the tyres to say, that's not cool, I just lost 1.5 seconds in the traffic.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big disadvantage for him. So he's going to have to work hard again now, and of course he's already working the tyres hard. Teyen's not having to do as much work on that fresher set of tyres, so he'll be liking the position that he's in, albeit that gap is probably not as big as he would have hoped out of the pit window.
Adam Webb leaving the pits then on a set of soft tyres then on lap 51 of his race, lap 52 overall, which leaves just the Lone Ranger out there, and it's Yestin Chiapalone, the last driver to come in and make a pit stop.
Yeah, of course, struggled with getting past Nielsen, and then there was that run on between himself and Nielsen that gave Reed the position in that battle, that 3-car battle for P3. So he'll be looking to do whatever he can to maximise this stint on the soft tyres. He's not losing lap time either, so he will stay out there for as long as he can on these soft tyres before jumping in to make that compulsory stop and tyre change.
Yeah, he's going to have to, and there's a slow car, and it's Adam Webb who is letting everybody go very much found himself in the wrong position at the wrong place at the wrong time. Marcel Fassbender really had to move off the line to get around him, and now that gap is 3.1 seconds. Traffic is huge here today at Long Beach, and Ken Nielsen now will find himself at risk as Anthony Catt is looking at a top 5 here today, and he needs that top 5. Mr. Consistency all season. No race wins so far, no retirement so far. He just picks up points.
Yeah, absolutely. It was also there was a bit of smoke around when that pass was made on Webb and he was moving slow, so I'm not sure if he's hit the wall there as well, either trying to get out of the way or as a consequence, and then the drivers have managed to get past him. So he is currently sitting down in P13. But Anthony Catt here, as you say, consistency, not winning a race, but challenging for the lead of our virtual championship. Again, just means that the season, round 7 rounds in, no further along at having really any clue at who might take this one home.
Well, look at this. This is well spotted here, Stuart, because look at that. Bang! That's why he's slow. That is a heavy hit into what is effectively a concrete barrier.
And the driver's coming through behind him as well, lucky to not collect him there. So an overall situation.
He's going to make this move with the DRS, and he gets that stopped on the brakes, and up into 5th place he goes. A wonderful little pass from these two drivers, 1 lap down, and they make their way through the fountain and around the aquarium here. The 2 double rights that lead on forward. Gap back down at the front to 2.2 as Catt has a wiggle through the corner. Jarl Teyen is probably one of the greatest all-round drivers that iRacing has ever seen, Stuart. He is someone who has done it at World Championship level, not only in open formula, not only when it's come to GT, but also when it's come to NASCAR as well.
Yeah, 8,000 iRating, for those of you who know what that means. It means that he is extraordinarily capable of driving just about anything on this racing simulator. Marcel Fassbender, to give you some perspective, nearly 7,000 iRating, closing him down. So we've got 2 drivers at the front of this field. A good high iRating split for this round 7 as well, as Marcel Fassbender goes fastest again with a 101.4. Really, really competitive driving at the front, but just shows you how good Jarl is. The fact that he drove away at the start of this race and is consistently just holding that gap at the moment as well to Fassbender.
Let's not forget Marcel Fassbender forgot to get off the line to start this race. He very much was a second and a half too slow on the reactions to get himself going. Welker under pressure as well in 8th. That's Tobias Saal just behind them. The difference now, a medium versus soft.
Noting that Saal did start in pit lane up 5 positions. Just having a quick look there, I didn't even recognize Jacob Reed is up 11 places into P4. That is a huge position change in a circuit where we talk about restrictions on passing. He's done a fantastic job to get the number 3 car up into P4 in this race.
He absolutely has, and he is moving at this point through the hairpin. This is where Welker will struggle, but he can open the taps here, and I want to see a difference in terms of top speeds between them. Welker going up through the K, P, and the H. Saal at 303. Welker able to pull away, almost gets to 298. In fact, he was only 301 with the medium set, so whatever he's got downforce-wise is certainly not being matched by his engine performance at this point, Stuart.
No, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting to see that at all. I was thinking that there would be an easy pass made there. Again, just some smoke, in the background.
So that was just behind Marcel Fassbender, and I wonder who it was. And in fact, that was right in front of Marcel Fassbender. No, that was Fassbender. That was Marcel Fassbender pushing too hard then, coming off then of Pine Avenue through the right, and look at this. Oh, he saves his race.
Yeah, he actually turned in a lot earlier there than he has been, and it's caught him out. It's pushed the car wide. He realised halfway through the corner he wasn't going to get it through, tried to pull it up, and did what he had to do to stop himself impacting the wall. So a good save from him, but that blows the lead margin now out to 4 seconds.
At what point does he consolidate and say, I'll take second place? I don't think he wants to, as Brandon Powell comes in for a second stop of his day. We'll probably move on to another set of the soft. with 26 laps to go here at Long Beach in California, the 7th round of the iRacing Grand Prix Tour in what has been an up and down and all-around championship so far for them. And so it's taken a whole lap for Marcel Fassbender now to get by the driver that he was hoping to get by a lap ago, that being Timothy Vaughan. So he dispatches of that, 4.4 seconds. Jarl Tayen is showing a level of consistency that only he can. You go into a level, and I tell you what, Jarl Tayen has just said, this is the pressure cooker moment. 1 minute point 9. He breaks 101s and says, come catch me, Marcel Fassbender.
Just blows up the timing screen. It just goes purple. So having a look at a replay here. Again, just that tyre wall and understeer catching Brandon Powell out, I think it was. Who
and he's out.
Just went straight ahead. Yeah, that will have wrecked the front of that car without any problem at all. Just seeing a couple of drivers struggling a little bit with understeer as well. So having a look here at James Dempster, who's got Kent Nielsen. Seen Kent Nielsen's bona fides so far this race as well. So he'll know that Kent won't be asking too many questions. He will be just delivering some answers if he gets onto the back of James Dempster. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as well. Fassbender not able to respond to that 1 minute lap from Jarl Tayen.
He's closing this lap though. Give him some credit, 101.4 compared to a 102 flat from Jarl Tayen that last time by. So Tayen, a little bit inconsistent here. That gap comes down by a half a second. It's not over yet with 24 laps to go. Far from it at this stage of the race. But this is the race we're focusing on right there. Just going through. So there is Wellcutt in 8th position. It's Kent Nielsen and James Dempster 7th and 6th just there. Tobias Saal still trying to stay close, trying to find his move. He's got back onto the rear as they go through. But these 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th places, Stuart, they do mean a lot in terms of points.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you're talking about it before in terms of potential championship leader Anthony Catt. It's about accumulation. We're still not even halfway through this championship, and the drivers just need to keep accumulating, turn up every week, make sure they're nice and consistent, and grab those points where they can, and wait for that one race where they might be able to grab, you know, a 3rd place or a 2nd place and make that move up that list. So definitely wanting the drivers to make sure they can accumulate as many points as they can throughout these races. And this might not be a strong track for someone.
No, it definitely might not. And some drivers will use it in terms of the iRacing Official Championship, one of their 4 drop rounds that they have available. DRS then for Tobias Saal. He will give chase again, trying to find an overtake. But once more, he will find that he is at a range where Mitchell Welker will just have more than enough on the brakes into the right. Or the left, sorry, of turn 1 Toyota. And now through the fountain, trying to get drive off the exit, this medium sector out on circuit. Everyone's trying to just carry as much speed as they can. Very easy just to overcook it if you're not concentrating for just 1 second. This is the sort of race where you blink wrong and the car's gone.
Keeping an eye on Chia as well in terms of his lap times against Jacob Reed. Did come a lot closer on our last lap around, but Chia still needs to stop, and I suspect he's going to have to take a front cone after the damage that happened in that incident with Kent Nielsen. So he's going to want to be careful, but I was seeing whether maybe he might be able to stretch the lead out that he's got over Jacob Reed in P3 to maintain that position. I don't think he's going to get it done.
Now, here's the issue he's got. 15 seconds, 15 and a half is that gap. It's then a further 20 to Anthony Catt, and he should be coming out somewhere between Anthony Catt and Tobias Saal even at this point. So when he decides to come in is interesting. What's also interesting is when he does come in and make that stop, is he going to come out into a battle, yes or no? If he doesn't, then happy days. If he does, then he's going to have to be switched on off the exit after running a long amount of time on his own.
Not to mention as well, he's going to be coming out on those medium tyres, so he's not even going to necessarily have the tools he's going to need to battle against guys, not only on warm tyres, but on a warmer soft compound tyre as well.
Yeah, so he's going to have to get that tyre up to speed pretty quickly, I would have thought too, in terms of what he needs in this race. There is Tobias Saal, by comparison, trying to stave off a pretty difficult overtake, it seems, at this point, or it is being staved off, I should say, by Mitchell Welker. He's driven really well to hold on to the positions, but Welker will be disappointed with where he is in this race. Remember, he was up as high as 2nd position at the end of the opening lap, and he finds himself back down in 8th place. It's not gone well for him.
No, definitely not. But he's consolidated well. I mean, he is back into P8. Yes, it's not what he wanted, but he's at least going to score some points here and hopefully be able to consolidate to the close of this race. Unlikely that he's going to catch... Well, he could still catch Kent Nielsen. He still could progress his race up the grid as high as P6, but he's got some work to do, potentially looking too much in the rearview mirror a little bit to try and protect from Saal. Yeah, be interesting if he can close up on the back of Kent Nielsen to see how that then translates.
It will be, but the key difference is that Tobias Saal has to make the pass, and Kent Nielsen's actually maybe starting to fall backwards into the clutches. Mitchell Welker, a second quicker than Kent Nielsen over the last lap, this time by 3 flat for Mitchell Welker over to Kent Nielsen. 3.8. So it's really a case of struggle street now for Kent. He's now paying the piper for when he made his pit stop. And off the road there. And that is Timothy Vaughan going around from 11th position.
Got lucky there that he just sat on the outside of the racing line, so it didn't affect anyone coming through. Just touching on what you were saying as well, Cat and Dempster also slower. So in this group, challenging for that sort of P5 position. Tobias Saal was actually the fastest driver on the track. Jump on board, have a look at the replay here.
Toyota, this is why. Too much curb on the inside, unsettles the inside, does nose the front wing into the wall there. And yeah, gonna have to hit reverse, buddy, and wait for a clear piece of track then here in California to get going. And that's very difficult when you consider that you got that Los Angeles highway that is often 8 lanes, all chock-a-block.
Did well with the flick spin there as well to get it around and get going again. Didn't have to do the Austin Powers back and forth to get it around and get going.
Very much didn't. And let's talk, Stuart, about this Long Beach circuit, which in and of itself, you'd say 5 years ago, is a miracle that this circuit's on the iRacing service in full. Was always the sort of track that you looked at and went, this is going to be in tech development hell in terms of what this circuit is. But with the introduction of brand new technology, as Yestin Chiapalone now is in the pits. So he makes his pit stop, finally makes his pit stop.
No wing required either. 4 seconds stationary time, so just tyres for him. So that's going to help him. See where he comes out here, because this battle's heating up between Cat, Dempster, Nielsen, Welker, and Saal. And he's actually going to get out in the clear, but remember, he is on cold tyres, so there it is. There's Anthony Cat, potential championship leader for our fantasy series at the end of this race as well. So Cat will be on it. He'll want to get that position if he can and grab those extra points.
Every point matters, and he is going to be charging, looking for those, with Chiapalone in 4th, getting better and better with every race is Yestin. It is clicking more and more for him out there at this stage as he looks to try and get as much as he can out of it. Look at him weaving on the back straight here, heading towards Firestone. He needs tyre temperature.
Yeah, he does. He's going to have to get it quickly as well, otherwise he's going to drop another position. He did run long deliberately. It is going to pay out for him, but Cat here closing in very, very quickly. Under 2 seconds now. He's going to, if he plays it right, I reckon he'll be in DRS next time around, which will be concerning for Chiapalone as well. He'll want to try and avoid that, because that will get Cat right onto the back. In fact, he already was in DRS zone there, so this battle for 4th is open.
So too, Kent Nielsen, because Mitchell Welker is there now. And remember, he's got the medium set. If he's in range, coming out of that hairpin, he's got a chance. But look at him struggle through the fountain.
Yeah, it's so difficult on cold tyres, particularly at a track where you literally make a mistake and you're in the wall. There's no room for error here. And the battle is on.
The battle is definitely on, and Welker has that DRS. So too does Anthony Cat now, and he will look for 4th position to get back to where he started in what's been a long and grueling event here at Long Beach. They've been racing for over 70 minutes so far, and Anthony Cat now just needs to claw this in. 10th by 10th, 16 laps to go here in Cali. Can they find an overtake here? Answer for Anthony Cat is no. Answer for Mitchell Welker is a resounding yes. He's got the highest speed in the speed trap heading towards turn 1, and well, 3:14 on the straight would get it done.
So it's on here, Chair, Cat, Dempster, Welker, and Nielsen, as well as Tobias Sal. So we've got 2 groups, and there's every chance that they'll get back to one another if they battle for long enough. Cat can't get it done. We've seen it before. These groups will close back up, and we could have a really close battle towards the last few laps of this race for P4, with 5 drivers potentially in it as well. So great stuff when we're so far into this race.
Well, I think Chiapolone has earned this gap, and he's definitely earned it over the groups 7th, 8th, and 9th. Dempster a little bit isolated at this point, but it's going to be down to Anthony Cat. How does he want to find that move? How does he want to find that overtake? Is there enough to get this move sorted? No look into turn 1, but Anthony Cat is going to the Sim Racers 101 handbook. Get in the mirrors, try and find a mistake. Or he hits the wall on entry.
Definitely not what he wanted. Just has to make sure he stays within DRS. He'll be able to work it back there. Just spoken about before, he really needs to focus on the section of the track from Firestone Turn until he gets out onto Shoreline Drive and can activate that DRS. That exit out of that hairpin is critical to making the pass down into Toyota. So you're half a lap preparing for the potential opportunity to pass into Toyota. And if you don't get it done there, then you've got to start again. So here we are through this segment, through Firestone, having a look through Indy left. Out of the hairpin, how close is he? He's well and truly within DRS range. When it was activated, he'll turn it on. You'll see the lights on the dash there, the 4 green lights illuminated as the run through Bridgestone down towards Toyota. Obviously not going to get it done here, but he will close the gap as he builds.
He absolutely will. He'll get closer and closer, but the issue he's got right now is that this track is dramatically cooling. Started at 37 degrees. It is now down, and look at this. Tobias Sal trying to go to the outside of Kent Nielsen, trying to find 8th place out there. Kent holding on desperately at this point. He can't quite get anything out of this stage of the race. He is really struggling, and one of the reasons why is he's on mediums and he's got rivals around him on soft. But that track dropping is going to make life very difficult for those drivers who pitted slightly later to feel like they've got the tyres they want out of it.
That is the widest W13 we have on track at the moment, Kent Nielsen. That thing is 2 or 3 times wider than just about every other one on the track. He's doing a great job defending in that car. As you can see here out the back of Kent Nielsen's car, Tobias Sal all over him as they get on the run. DRS will activate here. This is his best opportunity so far with Kent Nielsen.
Trouble, and into the back goes Anthony Cat. Big trouble out on circuit. We'll have to go back and see on a replay. Through goes Tobias Sal to make a move, but Yestin Chiapolone, with a mistake through Toyota, has had Anthony Cat run straight up the back of him.
There's no nose cone on Cat's car either, so he's going to have to pit. This is going to change it all up. Oh, he just got really loose as well. Cat, no fault of his own. And this is going to bring Dempster, Welker, and Sal up into the mix along with Kent Nielsen. It closes that gap right up now. Cat will have to drop into pit lane. Any damage to Chia's car either?
He actually does. He doesn't have the black and orange mechanical flag, so the damage that you see there on screen obviously isn't as much what Anthony Cat's got. On-board view then of this. In comes Chiapolone, in comes Cat. Both of their races ruined by this. And it's Chiapolone just caught the curb, bang, into the back. Did not see it. Did Anthony Cat. He did not have the reactions available to it. It now demotes both of them down the order from what was 4th and 5th places. Anthony Cat throws the free kick to 2 drivers in this field. 3rd in the championship, Marcel Fassbender. 4th in the championship, Tobias Sal.
Both into pit lane. both requiring repairs. Chapelone requiring further repairs. And then Cat's got the new nose cone on, and he is out. But Chapelone still in pit lane. So whether that's he's actually out. He's out of the car. That is race over.
30 seconds. And continuing. Chapelone's day is done. And that is a real shame for the hometown hero, who, or in his home state, I should say, was driving an absolute classic of a race. But that is what Long Beach is all about. It does not care if you're a hometown hero or not. Jarl Tayen with a 6-second lead out here with 11 laps to go. Built that gap up and has certainly been driving it on rails since Marcel Fassbender's small mistakes. And Tayen is proving once again why he's one of the best in the world, why he is someone who puts himself in the top 1% of iRacers out there. And Yestin Chiapellone out and away, P12 out there overall, as Saal loses a position and is out.
Yeah, he's had to pull out there of the
And
race.
it's big. It's a big accident, and it's come just after the fountain, and it will come at Queens, going through the right. Now watch this, going through the right, over the top, overcooks it, locks the rears, bang! His day done, front left caves.
Says, I've had enough of that. We're not doing any more of this. We are out. And that sad sight, that car in pit lane, missing that wheel. So late in the race, you mentioned it early on as well, there's no brake around this track at all. Other than when they're going through their pit stop, it is full-on noise 100% of the race. And with 10 laps to go, we're starting to see errors creep in for those drivers who've had to really fight hard for the majority of this race to date. So advantage for those who are able to keep themselves clean. But unfortunately for the likes of Cat and Chapelone, as well as Tobias Saal, who did a great job moving his way up through the field, it's race over.
Marcel Fassbender's not giving up this victory, as there's Vaughan in ninth, Adam Webb now into the top 10. 0.4 of a second he took out of Jarl Tayen that last time by. He needs to take out 0.6 and round, and just in front goes Adam Webb.
Again, he's struggled. That'll overheat those rear tyres, so he's going to have to be careful for the remainder of this lap. And probably the next one while they come back down to temperature as we have a look here. Just going straight ahead again. He wasn't quite able to move to the outside of the wall there to actually
first one.
Get himself turned in. Oh, he's going again.
So he's lost it there. We also just caught the end of it here, just coming through Queens. This is how quickly it goes wrong. Just grabs the curb. You can see how the right-hand side tyres there, Stuart. Get air, and at that point, he is stuck with only 2 tyres worth of grip. That's why he goes around.
Yeah, absolutely. Just gets the middle of the car beached on that curb, lifts the car up, and just gives you no traction at all. Not able to turn it, get anything done other than to rotate or pirouette on the point, which unfortunately has happened for him again. So it goes from bad to worse for Adam Webb.
And Marcel Fassbender, who was right behind it, had to hit the binders, and as such, a 1:02.2 that last time by, the gap's back out to 6.1 seconds. He's given a mighty good showing of himself here today as Marcel. This is a must-make race for him in terms of what he wants. He's had so many bad races here on Broadcast Split with us at SimSpeed TV that he's had to rely on lesser points to get himself into that championship view with the way that he's been driving. The German is putting himself in title contention with a drive like this today here in second.
Yeah, absolutely. Also just noted that James Dempster had an issue through Firestone and Indy down into the hairpin, which has allowed Mitchell Welker to close up that gap on him ever so slightly as well. Just locked the left-hand front on the way into the corner, meant he couldn't quite get the car turned and cost himself some time.
At James Dempster right now will be looking behind. Mitchell Welker is not a million miles away, and I mean not a million miles. He's probably about 2 seconds back with a really good chance of closing this down. We take a little look then as we drive towards Firestone Corner once again in the dying embers here at Long Beach on the great weekend that is this, the greatest weekend in motorsport. On the brakes, through the hairpin, power off the exit, first gear. Not often that you get to first gear in this sort of car here, Stuart. These Mercedes W13 performances do love and prefer second gear for stability, third gear for stability. First is a rare occurrence.
Yeah, absolutely. Only really used at the start of the race.
Oh, what a
So
save.
much curve there as well. Saves it from impacting that wall on the outside, on the entrance into Fountain. So it does really well there.
Sense how much he's pushing. You
By
really
the local
can.
retailers, you can.
Yeah, you can. And it's really showing that Mitchell Welker is trying to throw everything he possibly can at the table and hope that fourth place sticks. And it's just not. James Dempster is doing a really good job. But get this. Jacob Reed, if he can keep it out of trouble, knock some wood, he'll go from 15th to 3rd in this race. And that deserves Driver of the Day candidate.
Absolutely, it does. On a track like this, 12 positions, so even make up 5 or 6 positions is a monumental effort. So 12 positions is a fantastic drive from Jacob Reed, and taking nothing away from Tan and Fassbender, who've been commanding in their drive so far, with the exception of that start for Fassbender. Imagine where we'd be without that right now, how different the race would look as well. So he'll be kicking himself a little bit, but all 3 of our top 3 drivers have driven fantastic races.
I think they have. And I think there's been a huge difference. The gap is down to 4.5 seconds. Marcel Fassbender sets the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute, 0.944. He is pushing Tayan right to the limit. And there was a certain race in 88 where a certain Alain Prost would push all the way. Ayrton Senna and find him a mistake at Portier Corner. Is this a case for Marcel Fassbender of him trying to force the same as an unflappable Norwegian who has proven as cool as anything as the snow that he gets almost 7 months of the year?
48 laps on these soft tyres for Fassbender. A 16 lap difference between himself and Tan, and just pops in with the fastest lap of the race. Fantastic driving.
It's been some incredible driving. There's a bit of lap traffic in front, though, of Jarl Tayan, and it will be Kent Nielsen who will have to try and navigate around. And this is where Jarl Tayan has got to be very, very cautious with the way that he drives. Just 12 drivers remain here in a race where we started with 18 at Long Beach. It has been a struggle out there. Fassbender pushing the gap, still 4.6 with 4 laps to go. He's going to need some help to bring this one down. He'll know it's a great achievement the way that he's been driving. He is right to the limits here through every corner.
It came down rapidly there. Over a second drop by Tan, whether or not he made the move past Kent Nielsen. But
Still hasn't. Oh, he's in the wall! Jarl Tayan's in the wall and out! Unbelievable! He was 4 laps from the end. Marcel Fassbender leads.
that is unbelievable. Both front tyres on that car are not working. No steering left. He will not make it back to pit lane. Let's have a look at the replay here. What happened is... Having a look at Nielsen here. Grab the wall. No, he's grabbed the wall. He's grabbed the wall on the entrance to the corner, grabbed the wall at the apex of the corner, and it's punched him wide into the barrier on the outside.
And he will feel hard done by because Kent Nielsen didn't let him go. And that's the reason why Tayan is so upset at this point, because he had this race on lock. He has led every single lap of this race so far. Tayan has not had much luck. You can see he's trying to be aggressive. He's lost the car. I don't think he's actually clipped that front wall. I think he's just got very unlucky there with the way that the car's balanced. He's caught it into a tank slapper and his day done. Marcel Fassbender leads by a lap here around this Long Beach circuit. By a lap. And Jarl Tayan is not going to even get a top 10 by the end of this. Speed limit says 25. Fassbender just has to nurse the car around in terms of the way he's got this job done. And I think he has just pulled off the same thing that Alain Prost did once upon a time.
He's still got to get past Kent Nielsen as well.
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to. He can just hold him. He's got, as you're saying, he's got tons of time here. So can't see him not wanting to get past him, though, as he does. No, he doesn't. Oh, he does. No, he doesn't. Down the straight. It's just that conflict, isn't it, of whether or not you make the move and get it done. So having a look here at James Dempster, who's been promoted to third. So another position gained. A second, my apologies. Third. Jacob Reed.
He is third, but that's Mitchell Welker right behind him. And if Welker can get in range, then we've got bingo, because this is a race for a podium. Mitchell Welker will need this, will want this, will crave that third place, which has been almost dangled like a carrot. He's got the best top speed in the field, but he's got no grip through the exit there of the corners. With their 2 laps to go, starting at this point, they will only get 82 laps in this race. But Mitchell Welker, look at how he closes. Look at how he closes. He's alongside James Dempster, and he turns him. Oh, they make contact, and through goes Welker to the podium. And Jacob Reed's out. Unbelievable. He's in the wall as well. Everyone in trouble here on the last lap. He manages to survive going down the escape road, still there in second place. Last lap starts.
Unbelievable at the end here, trying to keep up with everything that's going on. So Jacob Reed into the wall there. For Dempster's got a mechanical black flag as well, so he's in trouble.
Have to serve it.
I was going to say, he'll get through to the end of the race if he can manage to make it around.
He will. Marcel Fassbender makes his way through, and he tags the wall going through. This is incredible on the last lap. Everybody struggling then out in the top 5. Marcel Fassbender will be the one who survives and will take victory by a lap here today around this circuit. He has done so well to put the pressure on Jarl Teyen today, and Fassbender becomes the 7th different race winner in 7 races. He wins at Long Beach. For 2nd, Jacob Reed will hold. For 3rd, it will be Mitchell Welker. That much we can say. Unless Reed finds the wall, Reed will be okay and will come to the line in 2nd. A crazy finish to a race befitting of the title of motorsport's greatest weekend.
Unbelievable change at the end of this race. I'm saying not minutes before it that all they needed to do basically was just to make their way around the track, and everyone tried to do everything but do that to take home the biscuits at the end. But Marcel Fassbender, what a great drive from him after the distraction that would have been that start that he got and having to work his way back and basically drive qualifying laps every lap of the race thereafter to make his way up into the lead. Jacob Reed, 13 positions gained on a circuit not known for its ease of passing. A fantastic job from him. And Mitchell Welker as well, out of nowhere, manages to make his way up into P3 after some trouble at the start of the race too. So lost for words at all. It's a fantastic run through, and obviously feel bad for Teyen, who dominated the race up until the end there, where unfortunately he came to some damage.
And there, inside 4 laps, you always get 4 laps to serve the black and orange mechanical flag. James Dempster sees the line before needing to serve that penalty. Let's get confirmation of results then here. Marcel Fassbender has just made the biggest smash and grab of the season so far. He only led 4 laps of this race, and 4 was all he needed. He wins by a full lap over Jacob Reed, who had his dramas coming towards the end of the race as he had to dive down the escape road. Mitchell Welker will take the podium, but his podium comes at the expense of James Dempster, who he turns around over at Toyota Corner over the last 2 laps of the race, which changes those places outright. Kent Nielsen will get a big top 5, and considering that Anthony Catt had to pit twice, a 6th place finish is really good for his championship points. Paul O'Regan will be 7th and classified in 8th, not as a finisher, but still classified in the 8th place, will be Jarl Teyen, with Thomas Vaughan, or Timothy Vaughan, I should say, in 9th position, and Adam Webb rounding out the top 10, 3 laps down. The last finishers then of this race would be Walter Lux and Yestin Chiapolone, who he himself could have been on for a podium with the way that he was driving here today, as he will see that there are retirements aplenty behind. Tobias Saal, Brandon Powell, Hugo Kenya in trouble today. Jason Green couldn't find a finish, nor could Darren Parker. And lap 1 for the championship leader, now just a chaser. Jordan Gronkowski missing all of the action here at Long Beach. A real shame. It is heating up in terms of the paddock, but next time we'll be with you for the Spanish Grand Prix, Stuart. It is the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and it is same time, same place, 1 week from today.
And who wouldn't be looking forward to it after the race that happened today? Everything, completely different circuit, of course, in terms of that one with the downforce and the way that race is going to be run. You can't not do anything but look forward to coming back and joining us here on SimSpeed TV next Saturday morning. It is in Australia. Next Saturday morning, we're on the 2nd of June. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to see who turns up and what's going to happen. An unbelievable race today.
Incredible. Friday nights are there for fighting. Saturday mornings will feel like a really, really bad headache, a really bad hangover for Jarl Tayen, but a star on the Walk of Fame for Marcel Fassbender in the way that he forced pressure tonight. He did everything he possibly could to put in a bind Jarl Tayen, one of the best all-rounders that iRacing has ever seen. This was a big race. We found out who was human. This has been a circuit that has humanized and demoralized almost everybody in this field tonight. But one thing is for certain, the iRacing Grand Prix Tour has been predictably unpredictable. Fassbender is now the 7th different race winner, and on top of that, he's the championship leader heading over to Spain. We will see you 1 week from today when we tackle Catalonia's premier track.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.